Back in the 50s and 60s, when some of the top recording artists were first starting out, they played a lot of the clubs along Route 67 or Old Highway 67 in the Newport area. Guys like Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Johnny Cash, Conway Twitty, and so on and so forth. Well, in 2009, this stretch of road was officially designated as a Rock and Roll Highway 67. And what better way to go back in time than in this 57 Thunderbird? Oh, yeah.
Well, I feel so good. We're gonna boogie like a rain.
Quite a few of the big-name performers who were just starting out in the 1950s kept this stretch of Highway 67 in northeast Arkansas quite hot, performing at all the various clubs up and down the highway. This is old Jarvis's Bamboo Club in Newport, one of the few places that are still standing from that 50s and 60s era. Sonny Burgess of Sonny and the Pacers reminisced with us about all those early rock and roll days at the Rock and Roll Highway 67 Museum in Newport.
We was getting $10, that's $40 a week, $10 a piece. That's $20 we made two nights a week. And I was working out here at the box factory for $40 a week. So can you imagine? I'm making half of that and doing 8 hours for working 40 hours. So that kind of got me turned on to music. And we just kept playing, just got a little better. So finally, we kept wanting to play the Silver Moon because that's where everybody, the good bands, played.
Now this whole concrete slab here in front of me is what's left of the old Silver Moon Club in Newport. And somebody commemorated the site with the sign on that building behind me.
When you walked in the front of the Silver Moon, which you looked at over here, you walked in and it was just a long building. Later on, when they enlarged it, they built back up till they held about 1,000 people, but at that time it probably held 300. And the bandstand was on the far end there where that picture shows, Silver Moon Club. Well, we got to playing there, and we got doing so. Anyway, we came along. Boy, I went to Porky's Rooftop to see Elvis, and then in 55, and we're still playing. So then went out to Elvis again at Silver Moon Club, opened for him. He had a great memory. That's the one thing I do remember about him, because he could memorize a song like he could hear it once or twice, and he knew it. And he did that Wop Babaloo Bop Bop Bam Boom and Little Richard just come out. I'm talking, it was hot on the radio. And he did it at Swifton High School and at Bob's that night. And then it's Only You by the Platters, which nobody else was doing, but it was #1 on the charts. So he had this great memory. He can remember all those songs. And they just had a fantastic act. I thought it was one of the best rockabilly, they call it now. We thought it was rock and roll. But he really had a super good act, and he didn't, it wasn't like the Las Vegas show. Las Vegas was more show than the costume now. He was just like you'd put on a sport coat and sing, get up and sing. But he was the greatest entertainer that ever lived. And it's just a shame that the people in Europe and the world over couldn't have heard Elvis when he was 4 pieces. You know, that was when he was true music. I'm going, you know, they were great in Las Vegas and all when he had the big band and 15 backup singers and so forth and so forth. But he had such a good voice, he didn't really need all that.
That's true.
Now coming up over here is the old KNBY radio station in Newport. Well, the disc jockeys were spinning all those hit records.
This was also the radio station where Sonny and his band got their big break.
Got on KNBY out here on Saturdays, 30-minute show. Oh, we thought we'd done hit the big time then.
Sonny Burgess and the Pacers also toured with Johnny Cash and Roy Orbison.
He was one of the funniest guys. He was a really funny guy. Great guitar player. Most people don't realize he was really a good guitar player. But he's always had these glasses like I'm wearing. They were prescription glasses. So he'd say, I'm going to pull them off because girls don't like guys with glasses. This is back then, say in the 50s. So he said, don't let me get too far in front of the stage. So if I get too far, I may step off the stage. I said, okay. So we'd watch him, make sure he didn't. But he didn't do nothing but move his right legs, only thing he ever moved. But he was really funny and a super good musician.
Burgess also shared with us a little-known fact about being on the road with Orbison.
Traveled 1 million miles with us. Never bought a nickel's worth of gas. And the only motel rooms he paid for was we'd book a room. So there's 4 of us, so we'd take 2 to a bed. Well, we'd book in, and he'd get a rollaway bed and roll in that room with us. Now, there's 3 beds in this room, and you're walking on beds. Or we could get him a rollaway for $5. Yeah, it was a wonderful journey through life. I'd give anything if I'd owned a camera. That was the bad thing is, back then nobody had a camera. Everybody now's got a phone that's got a camera. You can take hundreds of pictures. But back then I didn't have a camera. I'd probably been taking it. But, you know, Mom and them, I might have had a Brownie, but who knew how to operate it? But boy, just think of all the people that I got pictures of, which don't exist nowadays, you know. And you meet so many wonderful people. There's some great people in the music business. It's a tough business, and it takes a certain amount of toughness. I think that's what I always attributed to Harold Jenkins, turned into Conway Twitty, because Harold wanted to be a star. He wanted it bad, and he wanted so bad you neglect other things just to be that star. And I think that's what drives most of those guys to be stars. I don't think we really had that. I know we didn't have that drive. I didn't. You know, hey, it's a good time. Let's on to the next town. More girls, more fun.
Oh, yeah, we're rocking and rolling now. Oh!
Pivot Rock is one of those rock formations in the natural state that's a must-see. It's just right outside of Eureka Springs and takes about a 20-minute walk or so, but it's well worth it. The first thing you'll come to after only about 50, 60 or so feet down the trail is this little natural bridge. It's kind of cool looking. Now, according to legend and folklore, this entire area was a hideout for Jesse James and the James Younger Gang, a notorious band of train and bank robbers. Bluffs and various rock formations line the trail route just about the entire way, including caves, which would indeed make this area the perfect hideout place for any outlaw. Before you know it, in about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how many stops you make, Pivot Rock juts out at you like some huge top. Pivot Rock, like many rocks across the state, is one of those formations where you kind of just look at it and you wonder how in the world is it balancing like this. Amazing. Standing 23 feet tall and about 15 feet across at the top, the base is only 18 inches wide, making this quite the balancing act. Needless to say, Pivot Rock has been a famous Ozark attraction for a long time.
It's been over 100 years, way over 100 years. It goes generations, and we're in the Ripley's, believe it or not.
And this was an old farm?
Yeah, the grandparents, they had a farm here. At one time, I think they had a couple cattle, but yeah, they made their own living out here.
So that legend or folklore about Jesse James and whoever else, is that pretty much...
Yeah, I was told that the grocery store in town, there was an older man that would come out here and deliver the food for Jesse James.
How about that? And just a few yards down from Pivot Rock is this shady spot, perfect for a picnic lunch before heading back. Except all I have is water. It's called Inspiration Point, west of Eureka Springs, just off Highway 62. And if you spend a little time here, you will get inspired. This area also happens to be the setting of one of the oldest summer festivals around, Opera in the Ozarks. Inspiration Point has been poetically described as a mountainous place not too many miles from heaven, overlooking the White River Valley near Eureka. And appropriately so, Opera in the Ozarks at Inspiration Point has been ongoing since 1950.
Dr. Isaac Van Grove, who was the accompanist for the great legendary tenor Caruso, had the vision to develop opera singers, and for some reason came to Inspiration Point, outside Eureka Springs, and built it with the support of the National Federations of Music Clubs and other supporters. And over the years, thousands of singers have come through here, and many have gone on to illustrious careers on the greatest stages all over the world. La Scala, the Metropolitan Opera. The list of alumni is truly remarkable.
This annual Summer Opera Festival is held from about mid-June to mid-July. The day we attended, a taste of the opera was held first at the Crescent Hotel.
I always knew that I wanted to be a singer. My mom was the singer in my parents' band, And so I grew up going to their band rehearsals and sitting near my dad's hi-hat and listening to my mom sing. And I always knew, and I started taking voice lessons when I was 13. And my voice teacher was an opera singer, and she just knew that that was something that I was meant to do. And I've always felt that singing was what I wanted to do.
Younger than springtime, are you? Softer than starlight, are you? Warmer than winds of June, are the gentle.
Later in the evening, Opera in the Ozarks continued at Inspiration Point in the semi-outdoor amphitheater with the production La Cenerentola, Cinderella.
I love the ability to communicate the stories. You know, all opera is, you know, just conveying human emotions that, you know, you and I both feel, but it's, you know, it sort of feels like my job to sort of help others, you know, suspend reality and live in this other world for a moment and just sort of forget the rest of the world and to just have the ability to bring another story. And of composers who, most opera composers, you know, are dead by now, so it's sort of helping them live on and, you know, transcend time. So I think that it's really special to do that.
What I like about singing opera is just that it's something that not everybody does, but it's something that people who come and watch an opera for the first time, they always end up leaving saying, I'm glad I did that. You know, it's something that people just, it's kind of like it wants to be a dying art form, and we're the fighters who are trying to help it to survive, and it always seems to work. The more people we recruit for the cause of enjoying opera, it's what keeps me going and what keeps me interested in it. Some people get it, so you know they get that you do it because it's a calling. Some people don't quite understand. They think, you know, you're just wasting your time. Why don't you get a real job? You know, but you do it because it's what you're called to do. It's what you feel is the only thing that you can do.
Lake Ouachita is, of course, Arkansas's largest lake, and depending on the water level, there are anywhere from 100 to 200 islands on this lake. So needless to say, you can go isle hopping until your heart's content. We set out on our isle hopping excursion with Lake Ouachita State Park interpreter Susan Atkins. One island in particular that's really popular, especially with campers, is Hotel Island, which is located just about in the middle of the lake. First and foremost, Susan, I guess folks like to come out and enjoy the islands on Lake Ouachita by camping out on them.
Yeah, a lot of people like to come out to Lake Ouachita to explore one of the hundreds of islands we have out here. And oftentimes you'll come out here and camp. So you can come out here and camp on any of the islands if you have a way of getting out here.
Now, the other interesting thing that folks can explore is, for instance, here on Hotel Island, is all these so-called mini caves.
Right. This is a really interesting island geologically. There's a lot of really unique formations around this island, and the mini caves really draw people in. So people come in to see the mini caves, and they're not traditional caves like you might expect to find in the Ozark Mountains. The Ouachita Mountains were formed a little differently than many other mountain ranges that we're familiar with. And the Ouachita Mountain ranges, if you look at the rock layers around us, you'll notice that the sedimentary rock layers, which traditionally you'll find in layers upon layers upon layers of rock. Sedimentary rock layers here have been severely and tremendously impacted by the natural forces, causing them to fold and fault and all these shapes that you see.
And this process, we might point out, unlike other caves, which took thousands, millions of years, it was actually started in 1953 when the dam was built to form the lake.
Yeah, it was definitely sped up by the creation of Lake Ouachita, that's for sure. If you look around at the different types of rocks here, you're going to find a lot of sandstones in the form of shell. You're going to find some quartz. You're going to find some limestone, very little limestone. But a lot of the cementing material on this particular island is lime. And lime tends to erode away fairly quickly with a little bit of wind, a little bit of water. And so once Lake Ouachita was here and waves started pounding the shoreline, that process really sped up, and now you see our caves.
And we can demonstrate that here
sure.
with a couple of the rocks. And
Okay. Well, here's some of the quartz that you might find on the island, and this is not your traditional quartz crystal. This is more of a milky quartz with some iron and so forth, and attached to some sandstone. But I want you to try to break that piece in half. A little bit harder.
There's no way.
Okay, well try this. This is a piece of shell, and the island's covered in shell, and we have a lot of shell beaches, but try this shell, see if you can break that one.
Yeah, very
Quite
easily.
easily, huh? Okay, so that's got a lot weaker material holding it together as opposed to this quartz. So when you have weaker material, it can be impacted a lot more by the wind and the waves.
On Checkerboard Island, named after the checkerboard pattern of the exposed rock, you can find some fossils.
This part of Arkansas was actually part of a deep ocean basin at one time, and we don't have a lot of fossils that you might find up in Ozarks again, because we don't have a lot of limestone. And here you might find just a few fossils, and the main ones we'll find are graptolites. And they're just these macroinvertebrates that you might find along the shells and inside the shells in between the layers. But I traditionally only find them on a few islands. Kind of like the mini caves. You're not going to find the mini caves on every island, so you're not going to find the graptolites on every island either.
Checkerboard and Hotel Islands are actually along the Ouachita Geo-Float Trail. And just north of Mother Nature's beach on Hotel Island is my favorite, a cave we'll call Hotel Cave.
This, without a doubt, is, of course, the largest cave on Lake Ouachita, and no doubt about it, the focal point here on Hotel Island.
This is also where our park interpreter came upon a discovery.
Came up here exploring Arkansas and exploring this cave, and I've discovered a fossil right here on this rock, which I didn't know we had here. I'm not really sure what kind of fossil it is, so I've taken some pictures, and I'm going to go back and do some research to try to figure out what we have here.
Stumbling upon this cave, in fact, is a special surprise for quite a few folks who go isle hopping on Lake Ouachita.
We did not know about it. We've only been on this lake as far as boating goes a couple times, so we headed out towards Mountain Harbor last time and decided to come the opposite way this time and started seeing a bunch of caves, and of course the kids started kind of going nuts wanting to jump out and go explore the cave, so we just happened to stumble upon this one.
What were your thoughts when you saw this?
My first thought was, hey, wait a minute before you go in there. Let me take a look first, but it wasn't stopping any kids. They were headed home before I could even get the boat parked.
When you first saw this, what'd you think of this cave?
It was pretty cool whenever I first saw it.
You did a little bit of exploring in here, huh?
Yes, sir.
Did you find anything?
We found a fossil.
Fossil?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And have you noticed kind of the faces in the wall?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a cave before?
No.
So this is quite an interesting experience then for you.
Yes.
Braxton, what do you think?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. You second that. So explore the Isles of Lake Ouachita for yourself, along with a little cave exploration. And to view this episode again, or any one of our others, visit our website at aetn.org/exploringarkansas. And don't forget to like us on our Facebook fan page. And we'll see you again the next time for another exciting adventure on Exploring Arkansas.